Hi friends, this is Danny and today we're covering the Trek Bikes 2020, the whole range of their bikes, which can be really difficult or even misleading, especially like this is for the beginners, right? Like hybrid, urban, fitness, city and adventure bikes can be very difficult, and believe me, if you don't have an experience, you might not find even the bike which really suits your needs. So that's what I'm gonna help with today. All these cards that you can see up here, these are these types of the bikes. So I'm gonna show you all these types of the bicycles and explain those. And then in each type of the bicycle, I will point out one or two models you could be interested in. So this will really make your life easier. If this helps, please let me know. And if you want me to compare some models which are maybe similar, there will be some similar models, put that in the comments, put those requests in the comments. And if this is helpful, share it with your friends. Let's start. When you click for the bikes and you want to see all the bikes, you can scroll through so many different bikes. And here on the left are these types. This is the same as here. So cyclocross, downhill, dual sport, gravel, hybrid. What we're gonna skip today is the kids bikes and the e-bikes. We are talking about the non-e-bikes, just the normal bikes. And I'm gonna start with the easiest types of the bikes, which is easiest to explain because these are made for racing. Number one, triathlon bikes. Triathlon bike has a very aggressive aerodynamic geometry and a very specific aero bars, not the road bars but the aero bars, which put the rider in such a position. This is not for the beginners, this is not even for the beginner triathlonist, I would say. If you want to start with triathlon, you could start with just the normal road bike, put the aero extension, and you'd be happy about it. You'll be happy about it. The Speed Concept, this is the triathlon bike. The Madone is not a triathlon specific bike. You can see the seat post and the seat going to the back of the bike because you're not resting on the elbows most of the time, but just on the aero bikes, and sometimes you can just stretch more for the aero extension. This guy here is resting on the elbows, that's why the saddle must go more to the front. So this is the triathlon bike. This is the aerodynamic road bike, racing bike, which you can use for triathlon, or you can just have these aero extensions on the bars to be just faster. So this is it. This is not for the beginners. You need flexibility and many hours of getting used to the triathlon bike. So that's number one. This is for racing. Cyclocross bikes. These are also made for racing because cyclocross is type of the race. Now we have the winter season, let's say. This is the cyclocross season. These bikes are made to be fast on the cyclocross tracks, which are full of mud, water, sand, and different obstacles. You need to be able to carry the bike, hop on the bike, go through the sand and mud and so. And here we have the carbon frame Trek Boone. How do I actually read it? And then the Crocket, which has the aluminum frame. Cyclocross bikes used to be used even as the commuters or adventure gravel bikepacking bikes. And some of the cyclocross bikes have some additional mounts on the frame, especially on the alloy ones. But now, since we have the gravel bikes and of course the adventure bikes, these just look at these as the racing bikes, and these will also have pretty low and aggressive position, not that easy or comfortable for everyday or long rides. So these are cyclocross bikes. Boone and the Crocket are for racing. The next type of the bike is the cross-country bikes, and cross-country is also a racing type or discipline, mountain bike discipline. You can see the Emily Batty riding for Trek Factory Racing. And here essentially you have two different types of the bikes. The full suspension bike, which has the suspension front and rear. This is the Supercaliber, and it's the newest, the all new model, which has just 50 millimeters of the travel at the rear. And the travel of your suspension will tell you what kind of bike it is. Front 100 millimeters, rear 50 millimeters, up to 100 millimeters. That's the cross-country bikes. If that would be about 120 millimeters, that would be something between, like the Top Fuel. This one has 115, I think. And then 130 millimeters and more will be trail bike. I'm going to explain more when we talk about the trail bikes. But these bikes don't have too much travel because these have to be very light. So light, aggressive, and expensive. These are cross-country bikes. Supercaliber is the full suspension bike. And then the Procaliber is the hardtail, so no suspension at the rear, but there is some additional feature on the trek bikes that make the frame more compliant. So Supercaliber and the Procaliber are made, have the carbon frame. Then you've got the Excalibur, which has the aluminum frame, and you can still race on the bike. And then also you can find here the Top Fuel, which has more travel, will be heavier, but still quite efficient, and the suspension has the lockout lever, so you can just lock it out on the handlebars and feel that you are efficient on the uphills. So which one from these bikes to choose? I would say none, really. None of these bikes really, because these are not made for the beginners. Riding a cross-country aggressive geometry bike on the downhills can even be scary or just dangerous for the beginners. Top Fuel, much more, but let me finish with the trail bikes and then you will see what would be really good. On this type of the bikes, cross-country mountain bikes, Trek also puts the Merlin, and that's the bike I would recommend to look at. Trek Merlin will be starting with very reasonable price. It won't be as aggressive as the Procaliber and Excalibur, but this will be really capable, nice bike and well-made bike. So Trek Merlin is the bike I would recommend to look at if you're thinking about all-rounder or cross-country bike. This is it. The next type is the downhill bikes. These have these have 190 millimeters of travel, which is about the double of the travel of a normal cross-country full suspension bike. These are made for downhill. Oh, not even, this is the trail riding, but these are made for downhill, and downhill is a race. Downhill is a very extreme type of riding your bike down the hill only. You do not make uphills on these bikes. So easy. Trek session is not for the beginners. And then the next one, which is easy to explain, is the Fatbike. Some brands actually stopped doing Fatbikes. They don't do it anymore. Trek still does. These bikes are heavy. I don't really like these bikes too much, but they can be fun for riding on the beach or on the snow, just for some type of riding. Fat bikes, these have over 4 inches width of the tires. So Farley is the fat bike. Beautiful looking with this rigid fork. But this is fat bike. So you don't have that much opportunities to ride these bikes unless like deep sand or snow, I would say, mostly. And then we have the adventure bikes. Not that difficult to explain. 520, 920 and 1120. 520 is, let's call it a road adventure traveling bike. 920, Trek say this is like a road to trail, and then this one is trail to mountains. So 520 has a steel frame, and the Trek has been doing this one for a long time. You've got all the mounts and racks and everything for riding just long trips. Very comfortable position. You have the drop bars here. So if you are into traveling, then check out this bike. If you want to have just a little bit more trail or terrain capabilities, then the Trek 920 aluminum frame and still being able to take a lot of load. This one has a triple crankset, 3 chain rings at the front, which is the best option for riding long trips with a very heavy load, like your tent and food and everything. You want to have as many gears as possible. This one has 2 chain rings at the front, which is still okay. Let's say 2x10. It's okay, but I think I would like to have some bigger cassette at the rear. And then this 1120, this bike is beautiful. I love how the bike looks. It has the special design of the chainstay on the drive side, so that you can fit wider tires. Wide tires, you can ride in the mountains. No suspension, because you don't need suspension. You don't ride fast, but you can ride in the mountains. But the problem is that it's got the 1x11 drivetrain. This is even the old SLX, not the new one. And the model of the bikes is 2020, which is weird. 1x10 is not enough for riding in the mountains with the load, and you cannot mount a front derailleur on this one. So my opinion, if you really want to have Trek 1120, beautiful bike with a dropper post, then go for the Eagle or new SLX XD XTR 12-speed cassette and maybe 32 or even 30 teeth chainring at the front. So adventure travel. Of course, you can use these bikes as commuters. They will be great commuters also. And then the most difficult and very, very popular types of the bikes: dual sport, fitness, hybrid, urban, recreation. That's a lot. Dual sport. These bikes will have comfortable position, and all of these come with the fork, with the suspension fork, which makes the bike heavier. And the suspension fork isn't really good for most of the riders, because most of these forks, even not all, are the spring forks, not the air forks. So you cannot adjust how the stiff fork should be for your weight. And as I understand, as I know, the dual sport fitness hybrid kind of bikes are great for losing weight, for just getting into better shape. That means maybe you are overweight, then such a fork wouldn't be of a very good help for you. But there you go, dual sport. I would say even city bike, some easy roads, some gravel, why not, some very, very easy trails, maybe in some parks. So that's dual sport 4. And then fitness, you can find FX model here, but I think they've put also, no, the dual sport wasn't put here, but they put it here. From among the hybrid bikes, there are the e-bikes, which I'm gonna skip, but then they put the FX and the dual sport once again together on this type of the bicycles, which is the hybrid bikes. And then the urban bikes, once again, FX and I think dual sport as well. So this is useless. The hybrid bikes and urban bikes types, putting it on the website, this is useless and even misleading. But what I would recommend to you guys is to try the rigid fork on the FX model. So FX Sport, whatever your budget is, for $1,200 you get pretty nice bike with a comfortable position, quite upright. You will see the stoplights and everything in the city. You can do trainings on this bike, of course. So that would be it. So actually, dual, fitness, hybrid, urban is just too much. let's say we've got two types of the bikes. These are the fitness bikes, the FX and the Dual Sport, but the Dual Sport, which is here, the Dual Sport will have the front suspension, which is not very that useful in my opinion. So check out FX Sport if you want to have just all-rounder, but more in the city, not in the trails in the forest. And then the recreation, here we've got another model, which is the Verve. And to be honest, I'm not sure what to tell you about Verve. It comes with low components. Maybe these are, let's say these are the budget or the entry level fitness bikes that the Verve. If you don't want to spend $1,200 for the cheapest FX, just buy Verve. Similar position will be there. You've got the disc brakes on some of the models, very low components, which will be just enough for riding in the city. So this is it. And then gravel bikes. Let's just go here. Are close to cyclocross bikes, but the gravel bikes, which is the Checkpoint, will have more tire clearance, so you can put a bigger rubber on this bike, will have more upright or more relaxed position for longer rides than the cyclocross. Cyclocross is about 60-minute race. And also these will usually come with much more mounts for just everything, additional bottles, racks, fenders, and so on. So definitely for the beginners and for everyone who's looking for just riding on the gravel just for having fun and even racing sometimes on the cyclocross, why not? You go for the gravel bike and not for the cyclocross bike. Cyclocross bike is made for racing, gravel bike is more capable just everywhere. And you've got Checkpoint on the carbon frame, super expensive. I would never pay that much money for the bike. And you've got the Checkpoint ALR on the aluminum frame, and let's say like the 4 AL4 for $1,600 with disc brakes, nice geometry, would be just cool. From what I see, they don't put additional mounts under the down tube. Yeah, there is no additional mount here. This mount here, if there was one, it is very helpful. I'm using it on my Merida Silex. It's great, but I can see there is something on the fork, so maybe for low riders you need to check it out for yourself. But Checkpoint is the gravel bike, and it comes with the 32C tires, which are pretty thin, but you can put more there. So this is the gravel bikes. Yes, like this one, this tire will be quite fast on the tarmac, so you don't have to be worried that you will be much slower than the guys on the road bikes. This bike is really capable. Gravel bikes are very, very versatile. Okay, and then they've also put such a type of the bike like mountain bikes, and once again you can find all the bikes right here. So let's just skip this one and go for the next type, which is the performance road, because another type on this website is road and still have same models. So let me explain. Performance road, that's basically the Domane and Madone. Madone is the aerodynamic racing bike. Domane is the climbing bike. Domane is more versatile than Madone, and Madone, in order to use really the aero features, you need to be a really fast rider. That means this is not for the beginners. And Domane is really not for the beginners either, because there's also the Emonda, and that's the bike I would recommend you to look at. They haven't created such a type of the bikes like the endurance road bike, which most of the brands have it on their website. but this is it. The Trek Emonda ALR for this, that's my example, $1,600. You're getting very well made, really well made aluminum frame. You're getting disc brakes, so no problems with compatibility in the future if you want to swap the wheels. And also for heavy riders, disc brakes are great. And these components, 2x10. Sorry, this is 2x11. 11 speed free hub. No, this is 2x10. This is 2x10. So you've got 2 chain rings in the front and a sprocket with 10 sprockets on the cassette. 2x10 is just great for road cycling. This is a beautiful aluminum frame. This is the Ultra Ride 300 series Alpha aluminum. Very light bike, $1,600, great. And also position on the Emonda will be a little bit more upright than on these two badasses, the Domane and the Madone. So Emonda, definitely Emonda. If you're thinking about the road bike, you don't want to have gravel bike, you want to be fast on the road bike, Emonda. And then we go back to the mountain bikes. This is the trail mountain bikes types, and here, as on the cross-country bikes, we have the hardtails. I've sorted these from the cheapest to the most expensive. We've got the hardtails, and then we've got the full suspension bikes. And what I recommend you to look at is number 1, the Stache. This is the 219, but it continues with 220 with the model. The Stache 5 for $1,500 with 29 each wheel, which is 29 plus, so it comes with even bigger tires, bigger rubber, beautiful frame, and the dropper post. Especially beginners, use a dropper post. You'll be feeling much more safe on the downhills with this dropper post. So Stache 5 is a trail bike. What it means? You don't really focus on racing. You wanna have fun and feel safe, have better control over your bike on such a terrain, exactly as on this picture, Stache 5. Then there is also the Roscoe, like Roscoe 7. It comes with a smaller wheels, 7.5 plus. And when to go for this one? Well, I would go for the 27.5 wheels because, especially in my opinion, for the beginners, it's easier to handle the bike. But this is me. What I have to tell you is that majority of the people will prefer 29 each wheels. That's why I'm saying you, if you want to have a not really expensive trail bike, so it's not going to be full suspension, Stache, Trek, Stache, check this one out. And then of course full suspension, Fuel EX5 for 2020. It comes with quite low components, 1x10 drivetrain, but it has 140 millimeters of the travel at the front. It will forgive you many mistakes on the trail, so you can learn how to ride in the really rough terrain. That's the Fuel EX5. This is a trail bike. Because then you will have also the enduro bike, which will have even more travel, but this is just enough. You don't need more. You've got the frame has 130, the fork has 140 millimeters of travel, and that's more than enough. For me, 120 really, for even hard riding on the trail, fast riding on difficult trail, is enough. Fuel EX5. And finally, if you also enjoy riding up the hill, you want to have even more efficient bike on the uphills, there you go. There's also the Top Fuel, which will be more expensive. But this one is like between the cross country and trail riding. I would say this is more a trail bike than a cross country bike, but it's really like in between. Top Fuel 8, for example. There are some 2020 models already here. Top Fuel 9.7, some are really expensive. So check out Top Fuel as well, but fuel will be much more affordable, and it will descend really nicely. I hope I helped you with all these types of the trek bikes. Let me know what do you think about it, and what would you like to see next. Bye bye.